Live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.
Boils and ghouls, lock your doors and strap yourselves in. From Los Angeles, California, Bloody Disgusting presents the Boo Crew Podcast. Horror news, commentary, reviews, interviews, and more. With your hosts, Lauren and Trevor Shand and Leone D'Antonio.
Hey, I'm Leo.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Trevor, and we are the Boo Crew.
Welcome to episode 106, where you are joined by Chris Motionless from the band Motionless in White.
While Leo was off saving the world at his secret underground laboratory, Lauren and I take you live from the tour bus for this incredibly fun and insightful combo with Chris about his intense love for horror, songcraft, and more.
There's ghost stories, a behind-the-scenes look at some of the band's videos, and can you imagine a horror film scored by Chris Motionless? We ask him that very question.
There's even a tease of some very cool things happening this year. Episode 106 begins now.
This place is haunted!
Hey, what's up? This is Chris Motionless of Motionless in White, broadcasting from beyond the grave with the Boo Crew.
Go ahead, scream. That's all we need.
Another victim crawls onto the gurney for a Boo Crew autopsy.
Joining the Boo Crew is a singer-songwriter, musician, producer, and lyricist who has defined a generation. He has not only defined it, but has become perhaps a reluctant symbol and icon for anyone who's ever felt misunderstood, loved, unloved, buried, or in contrast, full of fight against a world that doesn't seem to listen. He is our empowering voice, the strength when we need it most. He manages to balance it all in a thrilling theatrical experience with a wicked sense of humor. It is these qualities that make every one of his band's albums an event, a real movement. You can feel culture shift inside the melodies. There is salvation in the lyrics and strength in its conviction. It is why every one of their 5 full-length albums has taken residency in the Billboard charts, and there are many incredible videos, of which there are an unprecedented 19, get nominated for awards and amass millions of streams. They wear their horror and genre influence quite literally on their sleeves. Their latest collection of songs is called Disguise. They have been touring relentlessly in support of it through 2019 and will continue to do so in 2020. We are honored to welcome Chris Motionless of Motionless in White.
That is by far the gnarliest intro I've ever heard.
Dude, thank you. Wow.
Like, I need that sample, and I'm just going to play that before our shows. That's going to be what we come out to.
Well, that would be an honor. Well, seriously, this is a long time in the making for us. But as soon as we started this show for Bloody Disgusting, you've been on our hot list of one of the guests to get. So this is really, really cool.
And thank you for the very nice words.
Hey.
I don't even... Wow. Wow. We could just end it right here. That's it.
Well, to start off, so we're outside a very beautiful and very haunted theater, actually, in Ventura.
I have yet for you to tell me about the history of the venue. It's our first time here, so I don't know anything.
Yeah, interesting, cool thing about it, it was built in the 20s, and it used to be an actual speakeasy. And so, yeah, it's called the Majestic Theater. And there's 4 ghosts, apparently, that are in the theater. One of them is a gangster. The other one's a guy who smokes by the men's bathroom. Okay. And if you see him, you tell him not to smoke. He blows smoke in your face and disappears. Wow. There's a girl who takes the stage after a band usually clears up. They usually see her and she's headless. There's a couple others too. So if you see anything weird in there tonight,
we have a song where we scream headless a bunch of times. Maybe she'll make an appearance at that very moment.
That would be incredible.
That would be amazing.
We're just rolling out the red carpet for her. Let's go.
Exactly.
Have you ever seen a ghost or had any paranormal experience?
I've had... I don't even know where to start with this question, because first off, paranormal is like the most terrifying thing to me. I can handle any other types of horror or scary, whatever it is, but paranormal, for some reason, it just, I don't know, I'm terrified. And in the house where I grew up, there were a few moments of like simple things like lights kind of coming on in rooms where there wasn't anybody in it, and I witnessed that. But there were a few times where I was like, I don't know. And then I don't know if you want me to go into it, but there's one story of just like, oh my God. So when I was growing up, we moved into that house. My family moved in, like, I don't know how old I was, maybe like 13, 14 years old. And when we moved into the house, there was a family already living in there, and they had a daughter who had passed away. And I remember looking at all the photos as we were walking through, taking a tour of the house for the open house, and being like, okay, everyone else is here. Where's that girl? And then we found out later that she had passed away. Years had gone by, and I'd only experienced a few like minimal things here and there, but every one of those things happened at the top of the stairs. Every one of them. There were 3 or 4 weird, just like, how did that happen? I'm going to ignore it because I don't even want to think about it being real at all. Whatever. So later I find out that the girl that had passed away apparently had fallen down the stairs and broke her neck.
No way.
And she died on the way to the hospital. So that already freaked me out that, okay, this is how she died. This is where the stuff is happening. But whatever, I'll just let it go. So a couple years later, my parents split up. Certain people move out of the house. Me and my dad stayed, and his new girlfriend moved in a few, whatever X amount of time later. And we were having a conversation just totally out of nowhere. There would be no way that she would have ever known any of that stuff that I knew about the girl, the stairs, the having seen weird stuff up there, or anything like that. We're just having a conversation about the house and how it makes weird noises sometimes and everything like that. And she goes, yeah, and then there's always that weird girl at the top of the stairs. I was like, what? Whoa! What did you say? No! She was like, yeah, there's always like this girl that's always just hanging out at the top of the stairs. And I just was like, I'm fucking out of here. See you later.
God.
Yeah, it freaked me out so bad because at that point it had only been like my own like stress and anxiety of there being something there, and then she just casually was just like, yeah, oh yeah, that's a girl right there,
right?
Like,
confirmed it.
Yes, and that's the closest to any real interaction or real confirmation I've ever had.
Yeah,
and that's more than enough for me.
Seriously,
so I was out of there.
Oh my God! Well, you filmed that video Reincarnate in 2014 at the Hotel Alexandria.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Also,
yep.
A super fucking haunted place. And you guys did. I think you guys were in the ballroom and outside the Valentino Suite, which is the 2 most haunted places in the whole hotel.
Yeah, it's a little easier to deal with when there's like a bunch of people around.
Yeah,
but you can. Oh my God! In the Alexandria room, it's like heavy. I don't know if you've ever been in it.
No, I haven't been in it.
Heavy. You just feel the energy just kind of like, I don't know, just like embrace you and just kind of like come in. It's freaky, and it's just such a bizarre, like, I don't even know why they haven't torn it down. It just looks really like straight out of a movie set, haunted, and I don't know, you can't fake the energy of when you walk into there. You can't create that. So
and a lot of history of that place too. It's where they formed United Artists, where Charlie Chaplin formed United Artists. They announced it at that hotel. That's crazy. Well, going back to the earliest beginnings of getting into horror films, what was the first movie that impacted you that was a horror film?
The first one is still my favorite to this day, which is the original Halloween.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, and before I was ever even allowed to watch horror movies as a kid, my mom didn't like them. My dad didn't really have like a preference, but movies were a huge thing in our family growing up. Me and my brother, my mom and my dad, it was like every weekend it was like, let's go to Blockbuster, which, rest in peace. God, I would give it. I want a Blockbuster tattoo. I miss it so much, man.
Yeah, it was an event, right?
It was a golden part of my childhood of going there and standing there for an hour looking at all the movies and deciding what you wanted. And it's something that kids now are never going to get to experience on that level, and I miss it so much. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. We were a family that kind of watched like comedies, action movies, and the most kind of like horror-esque stuff that I was into was like Ghostbusters. There's a huge movie for me, or like Terminator and stuff like that. So finally, when I was allowed to watch that stuff, I was actually scared of it initially because it was like a foreign concept to me, and I wasn't used to it. And I at that point had known who Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers were, but I never really went for it. I only heard like the stories of kids in school talking about them, and I was always just like, I really want to know what this is, but I'm terrified. So when I finally watched Halloween for the first time, it like shook me to my core, because I just think Michael Myers in general, having no actual face to show emotion. I mean, I guess in some way, obviously Jason doesn't have a face either, but there's something about the stoic, emotionless face that is Michael Myers, and the like slow, cumbersome, just constant approaching of no matter how fast you run, he's right behind you. Like it's so scary. It doesn't make any sense, but it's terrifying, and it does make sense in your head. You make it make sense, and you're just like, this is. I would never, if I ever saw this in real life, I'm out. Yeah. So yeah, Halloween was my favorite.
Do you have a group of horror films now, like a pantheon of horror films that feel like home to you?
I would say like some of the earlier ones I did see, like I don't know if certain people consider Lost Boys to be a horror film.
Sure, oh yeah,
I kind of do, kind of don't. That one for sure, just because I love the like feeling of being a kid growing up and kind of always being an outcast. There was like this weird form of like I identified with the characters and like I wanted to be one of them, you know, like I was like, that would be the coolest. This is what I want for my life. Like I want to be a Lost Boy. I want to be a vampire and like just be everything that they were in the film and not have a life of normality. And you know, oddly enough, here I am in a band that is essentially the closest thing to,
right?
to being in a group similar to what that felt like. So that's a big one for me. And then over the years, it's just they come in like every so many years where there's one that really affects me and it's like, wow, that was amazing. I think probably the most recent would be A Cabin in the Woods. I thought that was like such a creative, awesome, original film to add to the genre. It just was it was like a film looking at the outside of horror and showing like these weird alternate ways of how it's created. It just, the way I watched it was like, wow, this is the concept was amazing and just so unique.
Was there any horror that you saw this past year that blew you away?
Let's see what came out the past year. I haven't gotten a chance to really go to the movies a lot this past year. What did come out?
I'm trying to think. There's movies like Hereditary, some of the Annabelle movies, you know, It Follows.
The Hereditary, I have seen It Follows. I love the concept. It was a little slow for me, but Hereditary is one that I'm dying to see. Would you guys recommend it?
Oh my God, yeah. It's
so
insane.
I've heard that in Midsummer, like that you have to see it. I would say last year, the only film I saw that really was just like, whoa, this feels like a new version of horror was The Witch.
Yes.
That like slow, kind of uncomfortable, silent form of just like you don't really know what's going to happen next, and
it was like dread through the whole thing.
You're not relying on the jump scares. It's more just like constant uncomfortableness or uncomfortability, whatever the word is, and that really made me like just kind of implode a little bit watching it. And then the moments where like there were big moments, like I think it was towards the end where the goat speaks and stuff, and the voice is just terrifying. You're just like, oh my God,
live deliciously.
Yeah.
Are there any paranormal movies that you just love because it scares you so much?
I have to say the original first Paranormal Activity movie,
yes. Oh my gosh,
still to this day is I've seen it probably 3 times, and it affects me the same each way. Like I watch in absolute dread and terror. Like that was the movie that put me over the edge of being like, yeah, I already didn't like this. Now I'm not even going to ever seek out watching anything that has to do. I'm not going to even consider that paranormal anything is real. I'm going to phase it out of my brain.
Have you heard of Demon House?
I have not. No.
Oh my God.
Like we won't even watch it.
Yeah, it's a documentary that there's a warning at the beginning of the documentary that there's danger of people, I guess, being possessed, because when they were making the movie, it shut down all their electrical equipment. It shut down an entire news station that was going to air clips from it. It's one of the guys from Ghost Hunters, one of those reality ghost shows, and he actually bought a haunted house and investigated it, and some crazy stuff. Permanent damage actually happened to him.
Wow.
Yeah, his eyes permanently crossed, like forever.
Holy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he opened up a museum in Vegas, actually, in an old Victorian mansion that you can actually visit, and they have part of the house in there. You have to sign a waiver to go and even see it. So okay. I don't know if you want to see it.
You won't find me there.
Exactly.
But that's really cool for other people.
Exactly. So I wanted to just discuss, I know we're limited on time, but jump into the album, the new album, Disguise. Your continued evolution as a singer is at its absolute peak level on this. The vocals are a wonderful centerpiece and are very beautiful, and you've developed this melodic vocabulary and kind of the sensibility of a film composer.
Again, we could just keep sampling these things. Yeah.
But like the melodic choices you make are very unique, and I was wondering if there's anything in particular that informs those choices you make in terms of where to go with melody?
I think for me the best answer is going to be that it has to reflect exactly how I feel about the lyrics. Like, let's pick a song that's like really emotional on the
like
record.
Another Life.
Yeah, yeah. That song has such a heavy, deep background to the lyrics, and I spent a lot of time to make sure that they were saying exactly what I want. So when I think about how melodies come together and how vocal performances come together, if I were to ever do something that I felt didn't reflect the weight that the lyrics were carrying, then it wouldn't make sense to me. It wouldn't match up. So I always have to look at a song in that sense where it's like, okay, is what I'm singing and how I'm singing it matching what I feel when I hear the song or what I feel when I read the lyrics? And that's usually just the way I go about everything. Like, I always have to have the music first, and then from the music I say, this song, this music makes me feel this way. Then I write the lyrics and say, okay, the lyrics and the music make me feel this way. How do I want to sing it? So that's usually the process.
Now, lyrically on this album, you're more open than you've ever been before, and we cling to that honesty as listeners. And it's always been there as a secret sauce of the band, but now it's more on the table than ever before. There's a whole other level of immersiveness that comes to the music because of that as a listener. What has that approach awoken in you?
I think it's tough to say, because every time I want to answer this question, I'm always just like, I feel like I have been really honest and really forward throughout our career, but there is something about this one that's like absolute, just, open my chest, spread it, and just you can dive right in and just it's all there for you to see. And I don't know, for me it's allowed me to feel like I don't have to be afraid, or I don't have to bottle up the feelings that I experience, and kind of very much put on that mask or disguise every day. It's now I know that there's a support system out there that feels that way, and allows me to kind of show the true self and not have to feel like I have to put on the mask and the fake smile all the time. I mean, I'm a very happy person about what we get to do, and I'm so grateful. But just like anything in life, there's going to be struggle, and sometimes there's going to be a lot of it, a little bit, none, tons, etc. And I just felt like I was going through the darkest period of my life in a long time, and I needed to write about it. And I am a little sad that there's not more variations of songs on the record, but we did make sure to get at least 2 in there that have the horror aspect and bring, keep the roots of that aspect in it. And we tried to do it with the artwork and everything to keep it all cohesive to what makes the band. But it's definitely just the record I needed to do, and to get it off my chest, and stop kind of living in fear that people were going to write off our band because we're too emotional or sing about the same kind of one general topic too much. So yeah, it's been amazing.
As a creator, what are, if any, what are the regenerative elements of this part of the process? The performance, the press, talking about it, the reflection period after you've made the piece and put it out there. Is there anything that you get back during this part of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. That's probably the first time I've ever been asked that question, which is really cool, because I don't think most bands, including myself, really reflect on interviews after. But for people that actually are at least trying to be self-aware, like I try to be, you kind of get to listen to yourself answer these things and see how you may feel in an outward sense, rather than just what you think about the situation in your head. I get to talk to you about it, or I get to talk to other people about it, and then kind of look back at what I said and be like, oh wow, I didn't expect myself to say that, and I did, and that's how I feel. So it's just like what writing lyrics are, where you get to explore another side of your brain and your feelings and your emotions, and put it on paper. But now in this sense, we get to just have a conversation, which is even, or I guess equally as powerful, in the sense that this is just something that music has provided me with. It's great conversations. It's meaningful, in-depth, intelligent communication with people, and it's just such a great thing to have, as an extension of being an artist and going on stage and recording a record,
So Undead Ahead 2, The Tale of the Midnight Ride. Love the video. Sam from the movie Trick or Treat makes an appearance in the video as well, running around on stage. For any Halloween horror fans, that video is such a treat. But it also is a good example of what you guys do as far as linking songs together, having songs with sequels. Of course, this is being a sequel for Undead Ahead on the first album, Creatures. There's such great world building there. That part in the sequel where you hear that la 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 building up to this place is haunted, a direct lyric, what you quote, it is chills. What is the effect and importance of that world building and the attention to detail that you were consciously putting into this stuff?
Well, it's great that you asked that, because one of the reasons, the biggest reasons I wanted to do a sequel for that song was because I feel like I didn't do that well enough on the first one.
Oh, wow.
I look back to the first one and I feel like I was very underdeveloped as a lyricist and kind of just as a creator in general, and I wanted a second chance at it to take that story, just expand. And my thought with this one was that I'm going to take kind of every version of Sleepy Hollow that I've heard, seen, read, and put them all together and make my own version, just like other people. Tim Burton has his own version, and I just wanted to do that. So for me, it was like an opportunity to do exactly what you said, which is, again, thank you for acknowledging, really build out this whole world and give you such a very vivid visual of the characters, the story, what it's all about, but in my version of it. And the opportunity is so cool to do that. We've done that with many things in our career, and those are always some of my favorite songs, because you get to put yourself in the story and become the characters and live out their experiences in said story. And I think that's such a cool thing to try to accomplish as a writer, is to not be yourself and still do a good job.
Have you ever been approached to score a horror film?
No, I haven't. I would love to.
You'd be so good at it, dude.
I would very much love to.
For sure.
I have written things here and there that feel like, we did an intro track for Reincarnate that did not make the record, that I still sit on all the time. I'm just like, I need to put this out, because I feel like it's kind of mixture of Batman Returns with Nightmare Before Christmas and stuff. So I love anything Danny Elfman related, so that's usually the go-to approach. And I feel like I've done a lot more of the quote-unquote scoring aspect on the first record. A lot of the stuff I worked on I felt really proud of. Now we went a slightly different direction for the majority of our music, but I still have that desire to do more of it within. So if anybody wants to give me a call to score something, you let me know, because I'd love it. I'd get together with my friend Justin DeBleek, and I think he and I would do a badass job at scoring something.
Are there any horror directors that you just absolutely adore?
I don't think that most people would consider Tim Burton to be a horror director. I don't know.
Definitely in the genre.
Yeah.
I can never really get a sense of true. I don't know if this word is the wrong word, but elitist horror fans really look at Tim Burton in that sense. But of course, that's my answer. Whether you consider it or not, he's my answer. I mean, there are so many aspects about me personally, about the band and our music and everything that reflects what the world he has created, and that's just because. I was very young when I saw Nightmare Before Christmas and Beetlejuice, and those were huge movies for me. And then everything he's done after that, I'm just such a massive fan of. So I have to go with Tim Burton for sure.
Any more videos off Disguise?
We're going to try to do another one for a song pretty soon. We want to put another video out in the summer. It's we keep getting lucky. We do 5 videos per album. We did 5 videos for the last record. We're on our 3rd or 4th now for this record. I think 3rd, 4th, yeah. So I think videos are the best way to give a band another dimension, to invite you into seeing what the song is about. People are very visual creatures, at least in my opinion. So giving a music video to accompany the lyrics and put you into that world is something that we've always been a fan of and tried really hard to take seriously. So I'm always pushing for videos.
Yeah, the video for Disguise is awesome. The creature design, outstanding.
Thank you. She does a lot of stuff. The actor does a lot of stuff in films like that, because she just could like contort herself and move her jaw.
Awesome.
So great. It's nuts what she was able to do. So it was just an opportunity for us to bring the creature on the front of the album and to life and try to play with that character a little bit.
One very last question. So you're wrapping up this tour cycle, and then there's a little bit of time between then and I guess you're heading overseas. So what happens in between then? Are you getting a break, or?
We are going to do another run. Probably, we're doing Welcome to Rockville in Florida and a few other dates like that in the early spring, or I guess within the spring. And we're going to try to route dates around that like we usually do. So there'll be another U.S. group of dates here and there. And then, overseas 2 different times. Then we're going to come back and, I don't know, man, there's some interesting conversations happening for what we're going to do with our fall.
Wow.
And I can say that I think maybe not at the capacity that they want it to be. In some way, I think the fans are going to be really excited about our decision that we want to do for the fall. So we'll see you on Halloween. That's all I'm saying.
Awesome. That's amazing. Well, Chris, thank you, dude, so much for your time today. We really appreciate it, man.
It's great to talk to you guys.
Thank
Finally,
you.
I'm glad we finally got to do it.
That was a Boo Crew Podcast, episode 106.